Cody Bellinger has been a subject of interest as of late because, surprise, surprise, he's struggling again. And a lot of people are saying, oh, he needs to switch up his stance and his swing. That's what's bringing him down. He's swinging like a 6-year-old, but I don't think that's the case. I put a side by side here. On the left is a 2019 home run. On the right is a 2021 strikeout. Because who loves seeing Cody Bellinger strike out? I do. But in the home run, you see the step right here. He opens up that step a lot. Now I want you to just keep an eye on that. And then when you shift over to the strikeout, you look at that same area. He's not really opening up there either. It's really closed. And then in the 2019, look at this walk-off home run. He's opened up here as well. He's doing well with the open stance, right? You would think that that's the case. Oh yeah, just keep opening up your stance. You're good. But that's not necessarily the case in 2021 here with Luke Jackson. Everyone thinks he's finding his groove again. This home run, first of all, it's not a strike. Second of all, he's closed up here. Like he can find success with a closed up stance. And then you look at 2021 here again. Same year that we were like, oh yeah, he's closing up. That's not good. He's open here. And he strikes out, which is not necessarily a bad thing. You strike out with every stance because you always strike out to some degree. So that's not to say much, but let's look at the data. The data here is pretty interesting. First and foremost, this lower and away zone improved in 2021, which is consistent with the open-close theory because you're like, okay, if you're opening up, you're creating more distance between you and the outside edge, but it's there to help you hammer the inside pitches because it gives you more time to hammer the inside pitches. And then you look at the meat of the zones. Pause. In 2019, it's kind of hard to find where the meat is because there's two areas that you're like, oh, this could be the meat of the zone, and it's really close. I didn't even do the addition yet, but I would say this one is actually where I would put the meat at. Pause. Because I feel like altogether he did really, really well here as opposed to the other zone. I know they have that 5-5-5 zone, but they also have a 3-9-9, and there's no sub 4s in this zone. So that's where I'm going to put the meat. Pause. And then if you look at 2021, the meat shifts outside, which again is consistent with what we've been saying about open closed. When you're open, you're creating more distance between you and the outside edge. So when you're closed up, naturally you could assume that you do better. Which again, it's really weird because you look at the upper edges and it's pretty darn bad altogether. Which brings me to this point actually. You look at his hands here. He's really high up in 2019. In 2021, he's a lot lower. I don't think that's a huge deal, but let's hypothesize on what effect this might have. Because you look here in the ex-WOBA data, upper zone's pretty darn good, except for the up and in zone, which is pretty weird. But we'll brush that off. Upper zone's pretty darn good. 2021, not so good anymore. You're not hitting the ball as hard or at all. If you look at the strikeout data, the middle lower zones, they do shift, but it's like it's not the biggest of shifts, right? It's a 2-year difference. That's not horrible. But then you look at the up and away in middle up zones. It's a huge increase in strikeout percentage there. So my hypothesis for that, if the hands were to create a difference in results, is that he's not generating as much momentum in 2021 in the upper zones as he did in 2019 because his hands are basically already there. He's a tall dude. His hands, if they're low, it's already at the upper zone. So he's not generating as much momentum because there's really not much room to move. But in 2019, his hands are a lot higher. He can bring momentum on the way down and hit the ball a lot harder. So maybe he's trying to be quicker with it and it's not working for him. My biggest concern altogether, my big takeaway here, it's not the hands, it's not the open close. It's that he's actually not finding a home in any swing. He's kind of just moving around, experimenting too much in 2021. It seems like he started struggling pretty heavily. People started talking about it. He started taking a lot of different approaches, and he hasn't found an approach that fit him as well as it did in 2019. In 2019, he did open, close, open, close. He wasn't really consistent with one of them, but it worked for him because he adjusted to what he was comfortable with. In 2021, it doesn't seem like he's comfortable with anything, which I think is the biggest concern. Baseball is a very mental game at the end of the day. I'd say it's more mental than physical, to be honest. So the big concern for Cody Bellinger and the big issue for Cody Bellinger is he's not comfortable in his own swing. He just needs to find an approach that works for him. And it doesn't have to be closed, open, hands up, hands down. It could be whatever he's comfortable with. And he's probably going to struggle with that comfortable swing. But eventually, this is what spring training's for. Eventually, he's going to find his groove in that swing. And I think once he does, he has a chance of returning back to a very solid player. I don't think he's going to be 2019 Bellinger ever again. But he can definitely prove himself to be very valuable, and he has time still. But I want him to stop taking different approaches. Just find something that's comfortable for you and stick with it. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to stay tuned for more of whatever this video is, feel free to subscribe right here. If you guys just want to check out some more videos right now, this is my most recent upload. Again, thank you guys for watching, and as always, it is Stro season all season.